So don't go thinking that this is pushing rebellion against all authorities, because it's not. But it is pushing squirrely little boyhood,
and rebellion against
knowing
anxiety.
that guys who are not easily pressured by peer pressure, and who are full of beans and happy, they are our best hope. Like, it's just, they are. So, and it's really easy for Christian schools and homeschool co-ops and families and churches to see that kid who is unafraid. Like, you need to teach them to fear God, but they're unafraid of what people think of them. And it's really easy to be like, don't you know people are looking? Don't you don't you know what people think when you do this? Don't you know that? Like, and trying to program and catechize that fear of the group. And we need kids who are going to grow up in a world where they are an incredible minority and they don't give a rip.
Met a ghost of a king on the road when I first fell. Fire burning to my knees I fell. Met a ghost of a king on the road.
Here with Forrest Dickison, expert in all things Starlink, County Fair, and Papua New Guinea. Welcome, Forrest, and this is exactly what Stories of Soul Food is like, where we talk about whatever is on the tip of our brain.
Yep. And in this situation, though, we're here to discuss the creation of a new character, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I thought that would be fun to talk to you both. I need to grab the old book because you guys created this character 10 years ago. I'll run and grab it.
In fact, we thought of the entire concept of a black sheep. Nobody's ever used that.
The character is,
trope
for those of you who can't see, blah, blah, black sheep.
There's a big poster on the wall right there.
Yep. The audio podcast folk will have to check the link.
Yeah, blah, blah.
See it.
Blah, blah.
Yep, or go to blaaahkids.com, I think is it. The exact place that you should go to see everything you want. But
all things blah, blah.
Yeah. So it's a kid's story that Nate wrote back in 12.
Long time ago, my youngest was a toddler and could not say Ba Ba Black Sheep. And this is where a lot of inspiration comes from. So when we would do the Ba Ba Black Sheep rhyme, it was always blah, blah, black sheep, which I thought was...
I've never heard this origin story.
Yeah, so it was blah, blah. And so we started calling, in the rhyme, it was just always blah, blah. And we would say that. It's kind of when your kids screw up their speech, it's hard not to parrot them.
Yeah.
And so my eldest said instertine instead of interesting. And so in our family, we still say instertine. Like, lots of people would be like, instertine.
I mean, Dark Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Round John Virgin was my older sister's.
What's that? What? John Silver?
No. From the Christmas song. Round John Virgin. Round John Virgin.
That's a character that has to
Round John.
We
meet again.
Round John Virgin.
I think anyways, I got the proofs. I thought, many people don't get to see what it's like to make a book. And although these proofs have things that are changed.
It takes a lot of scissors and glue.
Yeah. I thought Forrest would pull them out while I go get...
so long.
Just gluing and gluing.
I thought Forrest could show off his cover.
Did you?
And discuss it. And then I'm going to go actually grab the old board book while you
do that. And while you can peruse, show camera. The backstory is... The backstory is that we did 2 books together, 2 board books, Hello Ninja and Blah Blah Black Sheep. Hello Ninja, as everybody knows, went kind of out of control, and then we both ended up working on...
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, and we both ended up working on all 40 episodes on Netflix. So Forrest was involved in that whole process of making the Hello Ninja show. Blah Blah Black Sheep sold out of its board book inventory. Canon at the time was discovering that managing board books was incredibly difficult and inventory was expensive. And the rules of board book production are also very, very high because a kid needs to be able to eat it, basically, and be fine. So it has to both resist saliva, but also be fully edible and without any kind of damage. So if your kid ate the entire board book,
well done them.
Well done them. They're not going to be sick.
Along with those Sharpie signatures that we did along the side.
Yeah. And so we had to figure, so the coding on these board books, there's the original board book. The coding on these things has to be really, really resistant to things like spit, but also to Sharpies. So when you try to sign it, you can't sign it. And so we would have to like autograph the white cut pages on the edges. But blaaah, we sold out an inventory, and I don't know where Brian got this one because that's worth a ton of money.
Yeah, like
Been-
$400
yeah,
on
it's-
Amazon.
I have
Yeah.
one display copy.
They
so-
actually got up to a place where they were selling used for hundreds of dollars on
Or at least
Am-
listed for hundreds of dollars.
selling.
Selling?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I
Did
don't
you
know.
buy one?
Yeah. I know somebody who did. Actually bought
Wow.
one for like
Whoever that was,
$185. Well, we didn't get anything out of it.
Well, still. but
Somebody's-
thank
The
you.
Amazon arbitration team.
Yeah. So it became
up.
a very hard to find because we were focused on Hello Ninja. We were doing the Hello Ninja TV show. Blaaah sold out. We decided to convert it to a picture book, do a longer format, which we were doing with Hello Ninja as well. Hello Ninja ran amok, and we sold it to HarperCollins, and they were handling all the inventory there. There's Hello Ninja picture book, Hello Ninja follow-up picture book, Hello Ninja I Can Read books. Those are all out and about. But then Blaaah was sitting here. We needed to circle back and really do right by it. Because it really did go. Like it went.
did.
There's a lot of people who liked
Yeah.
it better than Hello Ninja.
It was
And-
more than boutique. A lot of these kids' picture books are just like that first print run, and then
Yeah.
they disappear. But Forrest, talk to us about these two characters. I think Forrest will hate this because he now no longer loves to see that picture on the front.
I still like it.
No, it has a hokey charm that
Yeah.
ought not to be replicated.
I disagree, but it's okay.
So, kind of a mule-ish looking sheep. A
Yeah,
monkey.
we're not quite sure. I mean,
It's
we
a-
know it's
it's
a
a
sheep
donkey.
because it has the word sheep above it. But also, it's sort of based on the Wallace and Gromit world, where
It's very clay
claymation,
claymation,
style.
yeah.
with some insect eyebrows.
yeah, whatever those are,
popping off
Giant
the eyeball.
hard-boiled eggs.
It actually, I think this worked really well. Forrest wants to just beat it
No.
up, and he's being that artist.
It's my job, literally.
I know it is literally his job to be that artist, and yet, dear viewer, look at that and know that it's a fantastic sheep for
we are
for a
all
board book.
fond of this blaaah.
The original
Yeah.
incarnation, the 2013 blah
But for some reason, we gave in to the diva.
I will tell you my
Forrest.
reasoning.
Listen,
It
pre-Trump.
was primarily emotional, but there were some lines of logic in
Therefore,
there. as
not reasoning.
well. Emotional reasoning. That's the thing.
No, I think he does. Listen to
That's
him.
what
He's got
artists
real
do.
Okay,
reasons.
let's hear it.
He convinced me.
We gave it the Hello Ninja treatment where we sort of ballooned the middle, gave it more of a narrative arc,
Yep.
and quite possibly a show,
Yeah.
which is on the cover. So I
Oh,
can say
we're
that.
making a show.
We're doing
We're
it.
making a show for blah blah.
So
Let it be heard
let it
right
be
here.
known.
We're announcing it.
An
today.
animated show,
I thought
soon to be shown to the Papua New Guineans via Canon Plus.
via Starlink. And you know what? Forrest
not
will be
if I
like,
have anything to say about
Forrest
it.
will, Forrest will tell his daughters like, "Hey, I made a show. Isn't it awesome?" They'll be like, "Where are the pigs?"
Yeah.
Where
Yawn. You always
Boring.
make shows, Dad.
I know. Where was I? Okay, so
Soon to be a show.
soon to be a show. Blaaah. I look at this sheep and I'm grateful for it, fond of it. It was not the sheep that I wanted.
You were in college.
I was in college and I didn't know any better. So this is what happened. I think
You were unmarried.
I was unmarried. I had no kids. I was in college. This is I had probably not seen a sheep before.
You'd never gone to the fair.
Living in North Idaho, I'd seen sheep, but maybe not really paid attention. I had not, seen a sheep. And so
This is all false, but it's great. It's great content.
so I thought the new design 2.0, it needed to carry a show. It needed to carry an arc. This new sheep needed to be someone that we could relate to on more than just a level of sort of pity. We like the sheep because we
A
feel
little
bad.
bit. He's a little whimsical, I guess.
This one?
Yeah. Or do you think he's
That could
just
be a word, yeah.
weird looking?
He's just weird. And we like him, but we don't want to
be him.
be him. Maybe his design was maybe getting in the way of a more sophisticated narratival structure.
Charactival.
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 Okay,
Word
now hold
of
up.
the
Now
day.
hold up
So
the other one.
this has the is the other.
It's
this-
in there
this
somewhere,
has
but
the,
just take that off. So the thing that goes over the top is the
there it goes.
foil stamp. or the gloss.
Yeah, spot glossing, and you can see it over there behind Nate, but I'll hold it up to that camera.
Yeah, this one.
Here's the new one. Different, a little more traditional, I would say. Not as goofy looking, but
certainly not claymation anymore, right?
No, not
so
claymation
it's not so
anymore.
round.
I was
and
gearing
googly.
it, yeah, something that could be handled comfortably in traditional animation, and because we were going away from the quirky weirdness of the first one, the easy thing to do was
because Forrest was going away.
Because I was going to a more mature place artistically. I thought
definitely going to a different place.
These are all good choices. Keep going. Don't let them derail you.
Look, this new sheep, I love the old one. I love the new one more, and they're just different. It just needed.
The new one's fantastic.
You wanted him to be able to have more expression on his face.
More expression
than
just like a wall-eyed, googly zaniness, which is fun, but can only get you so far.
Right.
This sheep needed to be able to defend the farm. He needed to be able to speak. The other one's mouth might not have worked.
This one also needed, honestly, board books are fundamentally for toddlers.
Yeah.
And you want the character design to be squishy and huggable and
as edible as possible.
Yeah, just a toy, a little, a weird friend. Yeah. But moving up the way we're doing to a picture book, we would like this to be, especially because we're developing a show at the same time, we do need it to be more broadly accessible to an 8-year-old, to a 7-year-old, getting into more of the family co-viewing that we would like, where little kids can love it, but slightly more sophisticated kids can also enjoy. And so I do think, as much as I was heckling you, in order to expand the market of blah, blah beyond a preschool board book and preschool show, which Hello Ninja was fundamentally preschool as we developed it, but then artistically we pushed it and it became a 7 and up show.
Right.
But they, at the outset, they were chasing preschool, and it was too sophisticated and too, in a good way, and broader than just that. And so we ended up with a 7 and up show. Blah Blah is going to just starting at that 7 and up, and it's probably a 7 to 10. Like we're in that vein, and we want it to be funny enough older kids can tune in and like it, accessible and warm enough that little kids can watch and enjoy. But we learned a lot on Hello Ninja, and because we did both of these board books, and one of them went nuts, and we end up doing 40 episodes of production and art consulting is a lot. And we did all that, and now we've come back around. And this one,
honestly, you can go back and look at the Hello Ninja board book and see that Wesley's
character
similarly
design.
different, right? He's like a balloon with ears, and
and he's still he's more clay.
Yeah,
he's also in that more claymation zone. And as we took it towards the show, and as we were developing Hello Ninja into a picture book as opposed to a board book, the character design became a lot more sophisticated.
Right. And I was in college for both. I think I did Hello Ninja first, and then we needed something to put on the back of Hello Ninja, so we did Blah Blah as well. But they both look kind of like claymation, because that was the limit of my artistic ability at the time to render light and texture and form. It just ended up looking kind of claymation-y. But then once we got into the show, I figured out more things and was working with.
He became a grown-up and was being an artist,
and worked with a lot of.
You were able to allow like what you like to look at to dictate a little more of what you were drawing, rather than just what's the highest level I can execute. Is that a good way to put it? Because you were thinking, I really like Hergé, Tintin, Bill Pete. How do I get that kind of classic illustration style into
overlaid on Miyazaki?
Yep.
Right.
With a
little NC Wyeth in there.
And it's
little drama, pirate drama.
I think that more Glendine than Wyeth.
These days, sure.
Yeah. But
it's a journey, and it's, my tastes change weekly.
So
that is so not true, Forrest.
No, it's not true.
So when we started and Forrest was in college, when we started, and incidentally, I was paying him to illustrate these like what you'd pay somebody to mow your lawn.
It worked out though.
Yeah, it did. It did. I believed in them, and so I gave him ownership in Hello Ninja because I didn't want people to think that I exploited a child. And so I was like, it'll become something, and then I don't want to feel guilty. So it worked out. But both of us have always loved Miyazaki, and both of us have wanted Miyazaki in what we do, and to do this Western Americanized or very Americana. I still have tons of just Miyazaki concepts and images just floating around in my head for the West, for the farms of the West and grain silos and our big sky country, especially. So when we were leaving the claymation of the board book and moving towards the show, the development of the show, Hello Ninja, Miyazaki started showing up pretty fast, just in terms of backgrounds and big painted clouds. And that's just not possible going from what we were going from into CG.
Right.
It was just not going to be that. And Bill Pete and others are obviously influencing the illustrations now, but so is our old friend Miyazaki.
Always.
And more directly this time than in Hello Ninja. So Hello Ninja, the form, we just went from clay, which is very 3D. So like a clay illustration style into an actual 3D CG show.
Well, I think
this will be a 2D. This is our plans are for this to be a 2-dimensional, like actual animated, old school animated show. And it is gonna be Bill Pete informed, but it's also very much Totoro. And
there's elements of the blaaahs character design and the rest of the characters as well, not all of them that are shown here, but that I grabbed directly from old Miyazaki shows in the 70s. Like my girls
flesh them out, Forrest. Flesh out a couple of favorites. Does Future Boy Conan
Future
show
Boy
up in
Conan
there?
is fantastic. My girls and I have done laps through that, and it's just good.
It's a little
clean,
weird
fun.
if you head into it, but super
where
fun.
is it streaming? Now streaming
Amazon
on
Prime.
Canon Plus, right?
No.
Soon.
Come on, Brian.
Just give me a bit.
Not that I haven't tried.
So
to
Amazon
make Brian
Prime.
do this.
So
Amazon Prime, Future Boy Conan, check it out.
Okay. You hear that, Lucia? Go watch
Don't
it.
you
another
have
one.
to actually buy hard copies? I had to buy
You can.
Or
Wade from the Wade Show bought a hard copy.
Yeah, I got one too.
Blu-ray,
So
his,
I'll loan
his
it to
boys are
Lucia.
all about it. It's probably one of my favorite Miyazaki things.
But it is streaming now.
It is
Oh, they must have just added.
streaming. Wait, where?
Amazon Prime.
Oh yes, yeah.
You didn't have to order a DVD or Blu-ray.
I bought it on. I just bought it on Amazon Prime. The digital version, and then it went away for a month as I was recommending it to everybody, so no one could find it, and then it came back apparently. So or something like that. Anyways, Future Boy Conan is great, and then Miyazaki spent a short amount of time on a show called Sherlock Hound, which is what it sounds like, a weird Japanese canine version of Sherlock Holmes, and it's just chase scenes about in England, where you've got Sherlock Hound and Watson and Moriarty and his two henchmen, just the most elaborate hand-drawn TV chase scenes you could want, and for like 6 episodes, and then he left to go make, I think, Nausicaa of Valley of the Wind. But
Wow. That's fun. So you can definitely see that sort of simplistic character on top of a very full background that's just beautiful to look at. Simplistic is probably the wrong word.
Yeah,
but
that was offensive.
I saw that got to Forrest's heart. These
Reduct-
are not simple.
Sort of reductive,
yeah.
placeholder,
Crayon.
roughed in.
Or true. Just we talk a lot. You did talk a lot about whiskey on this show. His characters are very distilled.
Yep.
Caricatures of real people, which is why I like them, and I show my girls as much as is appropriate for that age, because his stories and his characters treat them. He treats his audience like adults, even though they're kids. So there's a way to treat kids like adults that's just way over their heads and not helpful.
It's kind of gross, yeah.
Most of what's on the TV today is just pandering, patronizing, and makes your kids
Well,
dumber.
I mean,
there's nothing to aspire
pick
to.
something like Octonauts, which changed an entire course of like Netflix kid animation. Feels like it drove behind Octonauts for a solid 6 years.
Yep.
And everything became that sort of cutout.
Octonauts, Paw Patrol.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Octonauts is okay, I think. Right?
I
I've
like the
seen,
show,
like,
but
half
the
an
art,
episode.
when you compare the art with what it's
Yeah.
trying to do versus something like Miyazaki, that's what you mean. Like it treats them like adults.
Well,
It's-
not just the art, but also just like timing, what's funny, what's true, what are characters actually like. Miyazaki's a very excellent observer of humanity, and so he's doing his very best as a pagan to give you what he sees, which is similar to like Pratchett or somebody who's like he's giving you the truth, and there's all the weirdness that comes in with that when you're not
When you don't have all the
know
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
what you're
it's
saying,
closer than what a lot of other stuff. So
Closer than VeggieTales.
indeed.
So,
ooh,
basically, I think with Miyazaki, you have unpatronized viewers in your settings. I think like you're talking about the big painted backgrounds, and you're not giving kids stupid clouds because you think they're stupid,
Right.
and they don't deserve a good cloud. You're
yeah.
creating beauty on the screen, and you're creating beautiful frames. And even though you do have a very reduced, very, very reduced minimalistic character design, that has actually been traditionally in Japanese culture where they are the strongest. So
Yeah.
even in their script, in their interior design, in their architecture, in their sushi, it's all about really, really mastering subtlety, like how tiny changes and chasing perfection in with a reduction of variables. You're reducing variables, and you're chasing perfection. I think it's something that their culture has done very, very well for a very long time, and it comes out there. And it's interesting to me that he doesn't do it to the world. I've always found this odd that he behaves as, with centuries of Japanese artistic tradition behind him, he treats his characters that way.
Right.
But he doesn't treat the landscapes that way. He doesn't treat the sky that way. He tries to present that in opulence. Like there's this, the world is presented in crazy reflective glory. And I think of the train scene in Spirited Away, and the through the water and all the stuff he's doing with the sky and colors there, while you have No Face sitting there in silence.
Yeah.
And it's and No Face's design is just
He has no face.
Yeah, he's a totem.
Right.
There's he's a symbol, but there's all this complexity in the art around, and then there's this Japanese simplicity that shows up in the character work that I've always found very, very odd and interesting. I've also found it weird that he doesn't try to be reductive with his machines either.
Yeah.
So when he's doing a plane, any number of things, he doesn't get reductive.
The airships from Castle in the Sky, and the weaponry too is pretty fun. Future Boy Conan has the whole planet, the industrial thing they're running through, getting chased.
He's often quoted as, or he hates it when he's operating in a world where most of his fellow artists are drawing things just because they're cool, or like the mecha anime in Japan is massive, but he's always more interested in the character inside the cockpit, than he is in just the coolness of the machine or whatever. And so that translates to machines that are like a typewriter. They just feel more human than something that's been sort of designed to death, like every car that's being made right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like he also did that with stories. Like he refused to do what a lot of the creatives in the Japanese world are doing now, with refusing to do a simple 3-act story. I'm thinking of like Kafka on the Shore, and some of the literary masterpieces coming out of Japan are basically, they have sudden rainfalls of fish in the middle of the novel for no reason, or they have
Not for no reason. There was a water spout some ways away. You just don't get to see why.
Like you try to find an explanation for it, and then you realize, oh, he did not want there to be one. He wanted it to be just
there were
incomprehensible.
There were drugs involved.
Yeah. And for what's that doc you recommended to me about Miyazaki that we all watched?
Kingdom of Dreams.
Yeah. Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, right?
I didn't watch that one, I don't think.
I don't know if I recommended it to you.
You just told me you watched it, so I watched it too. It was interesting to watch his obsession with the tiny details of something that feels pretty effortless and also for children, right? So he does have that that Asian,
he's willing,
Japanese obsession with detail.
Approaches every story that he tells with like life and death conviction, which is funny because it is just a cartoon at the end of the day, but he really means it. So he can sell things that you can't sell that if you don't like actually believe it yourself. And so
I think we've complained
irony
about how a lot of stories are not genuine, meaning they don't intend what they're trying to show. They're bathos, or they're backing out of it. It's Marvel. Any sad scene will be cut with humor, and a funny scene will be cut with
they're insecure, and so they leave something in for the audience, break the fourth wall, and just so you know, this is kind of silly, but maybe not. I don't know. You decide.
I guess that allows Miyazaki's scenes to sometimes fail, but it also allows them to massively hit it out of the park. Anyways, that's what blah blah Black Sheep does.
Totally.
Actually, I do think that creators very, very frequently don't have the courage of their convictions, and they hedge a bet. They always kind of hedge the bet, and I mean athletes do this too, where like they kind of go full speed. They kind of pursue it all the way, but they don't want to say just outright this is what they're trying to do, period, and they're sweating for it because they need to accommodate themselves to the possibility of failure.
Right.
And artists do that all the time. We're on full send on blah blah. There's no we've burnt the bridges and the boats, and we're gonna do this thing. So the picture book's coming. It has an arc. I actually think it's happening now because of a pot shot that you threw at me on this podcast at some point.
What did I say?
Well, you said something about I needed to go expand blah blah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I had
Nate said
so many ages ago.
And there was...
And we revealed that we're all busy.
Well, yeah, because we're all like, we expanded Ninja, and then we were going to do the same thing with blah, blah 10 years later.
Yes. Yeah. And 2 years after I did it.
Right. Well...
3? 4? How many years after I expanded the
It was just
text?
after your brain tumor stuff, so...
Ooh.
So...
6 or 7 years.
Really?
Yeah.
I think so. Because I remember it was like the year after
Nate
wrote it. He was like, "This is done now." We found one line that didn't rhyme and went back and forth on that one. And
maybe that was probably why we thought it wasn't complete. Does Nate know this one rhyme?
And that line is still in there.
Yeah. Oh, you kept it.
I kept it.
I gave him a rhyming alternative, but I liked it not rhyming. It was supposed to not rhyme.
Yeah,
I did give you a good rhyming alternative. We'll have to release a second book.
Yeah.
That's blah blah with the rhyming line.
The director's cut, which as we all know is worse.
Yes, exactly.
And it was. The rhyming line was not as good.
Yeah.
No.
No.
But anyways, one thing I liked about this one is I think it'd be kind of fun to talk Rebels and what exactly
the story.
Troublemakers and how much more you get of the picture here, finding out I think the sheep, the flock gets a lot more personality here in the first one, and then so does the snake.
Never before. This is actually why we waited so long, is because never before were there so many sheeple just everywhere.
Oh man,
it wouldn't have sold as well.
And now we have so many sheeple, and all of your children need to be thinking. You want your kids to be black sheep now.
Yeah,
like this is a thing that we actually want. So if you are faithful, don't rebel, don't struggle with identity, don't struggle with substance abuse or general godlessness in the West right now. If you grow up without having major apostasy, live in the church, get married in the church, raise kids in the church, you are as punk rock as it gets right now. Like that's just so bizarre.
Countercultural.
Yeah.
Very fun moment to be alive and make a show about a black sheep.
Yeah. So the black sheep concept has been old, right? And it's been used multiple ways. It's been used to defend things that are out of norms that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And so any kind of outlaw story is this way. Any kind of rebellion against oppression or tyranny story has been used for propaganda for a godless rebellion.
Yeah, sure.
As
The
well.
footloose method.
Yeah. So there's the godless rebellions. There are revolutionaries like Martin Luther, and there are revolutionaries like Robespierre. And there's Athanasius standing contra mundum. There are people who are willing to be black sheep when all the world was ready to go, anti-Trinitarian. He was not. There was our dear friend Santa Claus punching Arius in the face. There's all these different times when black sheep.
Yeah. And
Luther is an example of a black sheep. John Calvin's an example of a black sheep. The founding fathers are examples of black sheep. Like, it just, all these people who hit a line and they say, no, actually, we're doing this differently. They refuse to just conform to the assumptions of the culture surrounding them and then buck, and push. So it matters a lot who's telling a black sheep story, because a black sheep story.
Yeah, you can have blaaahs or you can have James Dean, rebel without a cause.
Yeah.
Right. And those are both things that are pretty viscerally effective and grab people right away.
Yep. And so rebelling against authority is actually a really important thing for Christians to be able to do. And it's also a really dangerous and deadly thing to do. So it's like a gun, and talking about gun control, where it's just being a Berean on the one hand is rebelling against authority. If somebody comes and tells you something contra this gospel, like.
Yeah. So Paul shows up and says, hey, everything you've known up till now is now fulfilled. You're now Christians.
Yep.
Different from Second Temple Jews.
And if anyone tells you anything different than what I've told you, including myself or the angels, it's like,
let him be damned.
Yeah.
And then the Bereans say, hey, let's go check this out in the scriptures and see if you're right.
And so the Bereans are checking the word of God as the authority going there. And it's all basically comes down to the fear God and no man, like fear God and no authority. And so when we submit to authority, it's because we are submitting to God. We shouldn't be submitting to godless authority out of fear, out of cowardice, out of this is the way everybody's doing it. People are going to look at me awkwardly.
That's that thing I think is especially nice when you have a sheep as your main character. It's not just bucking authority, but rebelling against cultural anxiety, which I think is often probably more potent than just like the man is. Everybody's always standing.
The time is right. When we wrote this, and even when I expanded this, I never would have guessed that everybody would have been so compliant in that pandemic we were handed. That still astounds me that it went like that, and it shows how much more of a flock we are.
Right.
We are sheep, and so you do need those people who are willing to have the really awkward conversation and do the really awkward thing, such that people who never would have that courage can come behind them.
To have that sort of like that cheerful rebellion that just cuts through the anxiety. When anxiety is just giant herd confusion.
Yep.
Yeah, because blaaahs is not sitting there being like, man, I wish I wasn't a sheep.
No, he's not.
It's actually important to distinguish that he's not.
Yeah, we're not telling an identity story, right? We're not stepping into the zeitgeist of wokeness where it's like, hey, let's do a black sheep. There's a little gay kid who just always wants to dance. It's like no, and so this is outlaw stories, and this is actually a great time to talk about the architecture of stories, because that's what this is. The architecture of the story is an outlaw rebel story. But what kind of outlaw, in what way, doing what things?
A Chestertonian outlaw.
Yeah, exactly. A Chestertonian outlaw. But the typology is outlaw story. So somebody who hates God and hates biblical norms and hates the traditional family can come along and tell an outlaw story. They can use the same architecture. And think of it as like building a house. Can somebody who hates God build a colonial house? It's like, of course they can. And then could they put their free weed dispensary in it? Of course they could. But we can come build a colonial house and use the architecture and typology of an outlaw story. which is every prophet and judge in the Old Testament. Like, it's all over the place. It is John the Baptist. It is Christ too. It's like, it's ultimately at the center of the gospel is rebellion against the authorities of this world, the powers and principalities here. And you see that over and over and over again. And you see one of the ways God trains his characters that he really plans to use. When he really plans to use them greatly, he trains them to be completely immune to the opinions of mankind, or in this case, to the other sheep. Like, just like
he
you
has
have
a speech
to be
impediment.
Yeah,
he's used to it.
Yeah, exactly. You get used to everybody thinking you're a moron because you stammer.
Right.
You know?
And how does it start? Blah blah black sheep. Yeah, you should start your book so they know it, because it's a good part. Always does it wrong.
Yeah, blah blah black sheep always does it wrong. Blah blah black sheep sings the wrong song. Blah. when everybody else is saying bah.
Yeah.
He says blah.
They want him to stand around and
they want him just to be like tight with the herd and stand and chew and bleat and just like don't do what you're doing.
All of blah blah's ants want him to be just.
It's also not a mistake. Sheep are perfect for a couple of reasons. One is we are all compared to sheep. People and sheep are so much alike.
Yes.
Two is, and this is the saucy part, sheep are all
here we go
ewes. Like and you have the ants, all of his ants. You've got all this pressure of this, this maternal pressure of don't do what's not done. It's really, who cares a ton about not doing what's not done, and like, this isn't what we do, and manners and all these kinds of things. And it's not like we're against those. We're for those. We're for culture and existing, but it takes guys. Takes guys who learn to not care of what people are saying about them or impressing upon them to really stand up. And so
because
I've seen, like, the lions not lambs.
Yeah,
have you seen that? That push in kind of the red pill world where people are saying don't be lambs, like lions not lambs.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, those are two metaphors.
You just mixed them.
Yeah, those are two different metaphors that apply both to Christ, both a lion and a lamb.
Right.
And so it's got to be both lions and lambs.
Right, because it's like half the lambs become rams, half become ewes.
Yep.
And
so the question here is, how much do we try to stomp on the aggression and the curiosity of our kids? Like, how much do we encourage it? How much do we want them to be asking questions and pushing and forcing us to have reasons for what we're doing, and not just taking it for granted? Now, we want them to be respectful, etc.
Right. And women and moms provide that very important compulsion.
Yeah, we're not trying to undercut this, but the thing is, I have seen so many times when men are trying to police the behavior of other men because women will have their feelings hurt. And those women don't even have their feelings hurt. So in their defense, they haven't even had their feelings hurt. They're just being used by a guy as a threat. And, we all know the joke about men not wanting to deal with a woman crying. It's just like, this is how girls get out of speeding tickets and all sorts of, like, just, okay, you can just go. We're not going to do this. Like, we can't deal with this. But the number of times is like, we can't do. I've seen different groups around the country in different periods of whether it's story development or a board deciding what to do about something, where it's like, well, but there are upset women. And that's a powerful argument. It's like, but then
I have 3 daughters.
Yeah, but more often than that is there could hypothetically be at some point upset women. Yeah. It's usually not even actual upset women. It's just,
that's the white knight move, is that you move in to save the lady from distress, whether or not she actually should be distressed.
Yes.
And that's, I think, you
all
need
the
a guy
time.
to
all
be
the
willing
time.
to say, this is a situation in which feelings must be hurt.
Yeah.
Like, this is, blah, blah.
So anyway, blah, blah is this little boy personality, full of beans, wants to play with snakes. He's misbehaving too. That's also kind of important. So he's also misbehaving, and then has to learn how to use his courage in the right way. So he's just being a handful. He's biting legs, he's biting people, he's playing with snakes, he's doing these things. But then at the end, he actually has to take all of that and use it for the good of the flock, for the whole flock.
To defend the flock.
Yeah, to defend the flock. And so it's a real low level, fun kids book, really simple. But the architecture of it is an outlaw hero story. So
yeah, who has to leave his people.
Yeah,
hone his skills.
To overstate it, it's the stone the builders rejected. It's like it's
Sure.
you throw away.
Gotta buy this book. There's so much here.
Yeah.
So, but the point is, like, this is art. That's architectural. Where the structure of this is, there's a little full of beans kid that nobody wants to deal with and is banished, is exiled, and is their only hope.
Yeah.
Like that is.
Because things don't always stay peaceful meadow, birds chirping.
And so that's the...
Hence the second act of this book.
Yeah. And so that's the architecture of this very simple little story. You can take that architecture and you can plug it into an entire TV series. You can plug it into a big 3-hour film epic like Dune. You can plug it into all sorts of different places and follow this architecture. This happens to be a very low level, fun, playful, mostly rhyming story about a little black sheep named Blaaah, who is his flock's hope, but is so annoying in all of his potential that he's been exiled. So could somebody from another team who hates God try to write a black sheep story? Yes. And have they? Of course they have. Of course
even read blah blah black sheep and get the wrong metaphor.
Yeah, or put the wrong metaphor on it.
Yeah.
It's like,
right, yeah.
They can project. People can project.
They'll say, "Oh, this is an identity story."
Yeah, not at all. So the point of architecture and structure in story is the structure is the most neutral part. It is possible for structure to be consciously anti-Christian, meaning refusing to resolve or open. And you can do all sorts of things where you're trying to buck against the way God made the world in your architecture. But when you're in a traditional 3-act structure, or if you're in an outcast typology, if you're telling a little prophet in the wilderness story, that architecture is neutral. Somebody could take that Tupperware container and fill it with gunk, or they could fill it with grandma's cinnamon rolls. It's like, it can be great or it can be bad, but it's just a container. So the structure of it is a container. The actual message of it is, we want and badly need a lot more rebels in our side of the world. Like, we need people who are really comfortable in socially awkward situations, just not distressed by them, not consumed by anxiety, not getting swept along with the stress and anxiety of everybody around them, but very, very comfortable growing up in a world where the many, many powers and authorities will be against them, and they need to just not care.
Is the lesson, I guess, of reactivity? Like, is blah blah doing what he's doing because he's worried about how the flock views him?
Yeah.
Or is he doing what he's doing because he is a ram who's growing up to defend the flock?
Yeah.
That overstates
correct.
It. That makes it sound...
No,
it just makes it sound... When you put the theme that overtly on the surface, you're going to be like, oh, weird. That's like...
Well, the reason why we're talking about this is because the world has used outlaw black sheep stories so much to try and push their version of outlaw black sheep.
Sure. Rebel without a cause type stuff.
But more gay kid
which is
stuff
turn them
now.
all into the most boring sheeple you could possibly imagine.
And so there's a ton of very sensitive sheeple right now currently who are all complying to the world's old outlaw black sheep stories.
Yeah, and then you come around and you say blaaahs like this one.
And so this story is not loaded. It is not loaded with anything other than playfulness, joy, and an affirmation of people who are not compliant.
Look at this one. That one right there of the sheep's face. I don't know, running away from the coyote. I gave away the villain, but
come on, Brian. Spoiler,
Brian.
So anyway, this one is not. It's not like we have it jam packed with Bible references or anything. It is just an affirmation of joyful outlaw behavior.
Yeah, Chestertonian, the way you described. He enjoys the mud. Most of the other sheep just want to stay out of it. You know.
Yep.
That's fun.
I know whatever he said about being comfortable in hot water.
Who?
Oh.
Chesterton.
Oh.
Oh yeah. What was that quote? Do we need to look it up?
Yeah, I think it's like it keeps him clean.
Yeah.
Is what he said. It's like, but it's that kind of a thing. So Chesterton is an example of one of those outlaws, and of course he was very, fantastic guy. So anyway, this is a really basic rhyming thing, and the reason why we're talking about the structure and pushing him as this outsider is because I don't want to concede the behavior of the judges, the behavior of these wilderness prophets, the structure that God uses to bring the outcast, the exile in to save the people. And he does that often. I don't want to just concede that to unbelievers and be like, no, that's yours now. We are the compliant ones. You are the ones that own, the testosteronic outlaws. Like, it's just not true. But I know people, because there are so many black sheep stories from the left, I know, and I mean that in a structural way. So I know people will read this and be like, wait, is this woke? It's like,
yeah, they totally will.
Is John the Baptist woke? It's like, is this?
He's wearing a sheep around his neck. That's not woke. No.
Yeah. He's wearing a snake around his neck.
Did I just say a sheep around his neck?
Yes.
I was thinking about something
He's
else.
wearing a snake.
Oh, I thought you were referring to
He's
John the
wearing
Baptist
a
camel clothing.
snake
And I was like,
around
wow.
his neck. No.
Yeah.
It did.
And
I will
not a
say,
rattlesnake, to be clear, right?
Bull snake.
We had to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
There was plastic scissors and ninja and not a rattlesnake around blah, blah.
Well, I thought rattlesnake did not make sense. Well, as you guys pointed out, he's not, when he has the line where he is fighting cows. I remember you changed that because at first we'd drawn a bull, and the point was, well, you kind of do bullfight.
Yeah.
So he should.
The arc would have been complete.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it needed to be a cow that he's trying to entice with the red tablecloth or whatever.
Yep.
I will say, not that this actually could be noticed, but throughout the book, I did my best to draw a sheep and a flock and a snake that was as unwoke as possible. Which means,
what does that
translates mostly to pupil shape. So he's not, I didn't lean into the round sort of
bubble people,
bubble eyes, bubble people. Like every Disney movie now looks the same. And so the problem is that old Disney was very appealing as far as character design goes. But I tried to borrow what I could from that and then make it a little more Miyazaki, just to make it less.
I think the phrase is globo homo.
Globo homo, yeah.
Which is the art style right now, but
it is.
Technical description, not
Every
just
Disney
a rude
movie.
word.
It's a perfect word for what it describes. It's corporate art.
Yeah.
Yeah, corporate
So
art.
don't go thinking that this is pushing rebellion against all authorities, because it's not. But it is pushing squirrely little boyhood,
and rebellion against
knowing
anxiety.
that guys who are not easily pressured by peer pressure, and who are full of beans and happy, they are our best hope. Like, it's just, they are. So, and it's really easy for Christian schools and homeschool co-ops and families and churches to see that kid who is unafraid. Like, you need to teach them to fear God, but they're unafraid of what people think of them. And it's really easy to be like, don't you know people are looking? Don't you don't you know what people think when you do this? Don't you know that? Like, and trying to program and catechize that fear of the group. And we need kids who are going to grow up in a world where they are an incredible minority and they don't give a rip. Yep. They just don't care. And it's fine. They're totally comfortable being civilization's last hope. And that is why we have blah, blah, black sheep. In actuality, it's why we're doing it right now. We've had it for some time.
Yeah. That's
so
good stuff.
And the art's fantastic. I'm really excited about it.
I will say also, I'm excited about this one. Forrest, he's a bit of a pill sometimes about the quality of the books. And
I think everybody got that.
Again, I don't know.
And so the paper quality, say you bought the paper quality, Forrest was like, it's got to be uncoated 100-pound paper.
Again, if it's coated,
why?
It's because I will tell you why.
Are you on why? Are you on this nostalgic kick?
No, it's not. Well, it's not nostalgia. It's
Yeah, it
Now I'm
is.
gonna sound dumb.
It's the-
Uncoded.
No, Forrest
Change
is
the
right.
order
Uncoded.
immediately.
Glossy paper there's like this, it's this glass between you and the artifact. It's like you're walking through a museum. You're not allowed into the illustration.
It
It's
also
just
looks
uncoded.
alive. Come on,
No.
Forrest.
If it's glossy, it looks like it's behind a TV screen. And you'll get that with the show. So it'll be alive with the show. But with the book, I wanted it to be
Dead.
as immediate and authentic. And dead, fine, yeah.
No.
No, Forrest is right.
It needed. I think I've said this before, but I wanted it to.
I'm
as much as
excited that you
possible,
cared.
feel old, because if it feels
okay.
old, if it feels like it's been around for 100 years, it could be around for another 100 years, feeding little. Black
Plus,
sheep
the other
in
part about
future.
it is Forrest got the first proof back and was like, I want the colors brighter to pop more. They need to be less.
So in my defense, the first proof was too dark, so I bumped the brightness by 5 points, which is not noticeable
for an art. For an
Not-
artist,
so it's
But
still
I
too
did,
dark.
But I did. No, it's not too dark. It's
it'll be
It's
great.
I love that you really
There's a
cared
little-
about this.
yeah.
Oh,
no,
he did. He went to war on it. We
So funny. I got left
crushed-
out of this war.
no, you did.
Yeah,
I
you
was
didn't
just
wanna
like,
be
Forrest, do we
involved.
really have to do this? And he was like, yeah, we do. Do you see how this is?
Western civilization
be this
is at
way.
stake.
We need to get away from the screen. That's great.
Yeah.
Plus,
I'm
the other
sold
part
on
is
that as
he's
we
like,
develop the show.
when you grab the paper and you feel the thickness of it, this
Yeah.
one feels substantial, which I think
Yeah,
a
it
sheet,
needed some
a
meat.
substantial,
It's woolly.
yes.
Because again, like we care about it. It's even though it's for kids, we want it to be
When does it
as
release?
pretentious as possible.
This,
I mean,
you'll be-
unironic.
You can order it right now and it will release. At least it's shipping out mid-October. So
Nice.
you're gonna.
I'm
be getting it
very
soon.
excited about this one. It's been a long time coming.
Let me say one more time: blaaahkids.com. Go
For
check it
Blah
out.
Kids.
Purchase with the specials. We got a bunch of special offers. The
Nice.
specifics. I think Nate and Forrest have both agreed to sign a bazillion book
And
plates.
because it's going to be unglossed 100-pound paper, we can actually sign in the book. And
although I
Yeah.
think we are
With like
doing book
watercolors
plates,
or something.
because I didn't think you wanted to sign as many copies as you're going to have to.
it's whatever. However it works.
Anyways, more stuff too. I
more
think
rebels. We need
I-
more.
this
more,
is all happening before it's finalized, but there's a print, some other cool things in there you can get. If you enjoyed Forrest's desire to have art directly in your kid's wall as opposed to in a book,
Nice.
you
Yeah,
can
there'll
get
be
it.
a print.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Awesome. We want more rebels in the world. More good little rebels.
I'm trying to think of what else, what other Easter eggs there are in this. Oh yeah, the pair of eyes on the back cover. Do you want to say anything about those? Maybe you don't. This kind of gets us back to our Starlink
It means
conversation.
we're watching you.
Eyes, Elon.
No, I don't want to say anything about that. There's
eyes.
a nice grasshopper in the book that's just hanging out. The grumpy grasshopper. He's in the
At the very beginning.
He's the Easter egg.
he's an Easter egg.
There's
Okay.
a lot. I mean, you aren't even getting the pictures of the Yeti Kingdom.
Oh
and
yeah,
the world
there's
of
Yetis.
snow.
I
yeah.
keep forgetting.
There's
yeah.
the pirates to get
Pirates.
some actual Wyeth.
There's a great Hergé nod where I just rip off one of his illustrations.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
Nice.
Is that the pirate one?
And it's funny because
Pirate
our
one.
source material here is Tintin.
Tintin.
We love
Miyazaki.
Tintin. We both grew up loving Tintin.
Yeah.
Miyazaki and Wyeth.
Yeah.
Although I do think you've pivoted more to Glenn Dean.
Which is fine. Glenn's
It's-
the man.
I mean, and-
Glenn Dean stuff. If you don't know who he is, look at.
but that's
look
for
his
his
art up.
landscape, right?
Yeah,
all his
I mean more how Forrest plays with color.
Mm-hmm.
Like Glenn Dean's color work is less inspired by early Pixar and Wyeth now, and is more Glenn Dean.
Sure.
That's
fine.
right.
Yeah,
Every
and Glenn
artist-
Dean,
yeah.
and I would love when I grow up someday to have a Glenn Dean on my wall. So
No kidding.
Glenn, if you're
so
listening,
this is not a criticism.
we'll do anything it
Glenn,
takes.
I'm a
please,
big fan.
please
I
come on the
actually-
show, Glenn.
I've actually picked it out, Glenn. I know which one I need. But yeah, no, he's really, really talented and is
Yep.
a great influence. It's also fun. Side note, we can leave it here, but it is really fun when somebody's alive and working
Yeah.
actively and,
there aren't
and,
many.
and putting great stuff in the world that is worth being influenced by.
Yeah.
And he's one of them.
Yep.
His work is fantastic.
Speaking of people who also do other things, I think Forrest does have some fine art still for sale, right? Or are they down?
Hey,
I'm
Right?
known to paint.
we haven't sold enough stuff yet today.
Yeah,
We pitched the book.
but we can go to
Clear out
forrestdickison.com,
Forrest,
right?
Clear out
You
his
sure
fine art.
may,
Let's
and-
do it.
That's
There's a couple paintings
forrestdickison.com
left.
with 2 R's, not just 1 R.
And yes, I do
then,
have Forrest Dickison originals hanging up in my house.
my kids at the
They're still
South Campus. That Forrest, how
Not
big
after
is
the
that
show.
huge painting at the South Campus?
Oh man,
Is it like
transcended dimension? I don't know. It's so big.
It is absolutely enormous, and my kids get to eat. My second grader gets to eat lunch under fine art every day, which is pretty cool. I don't know.
Is he getting his lunch on the painting?
I haven't seen any, but I would not be surprised. Those second graders are animals, so
They're all black sheep.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are. You should see them on the playground.
Perfect. Well, Forrest, thank you. Thanks for coming
Yeah,
on.
you're
Thanks for being, fussy about paper and stuff.
Somebody's got to.
That's somebody
Yeah, I
has
haven't
to.
even
That's what I
told
tell
you.
myself.
I haven't even told you all the things he's fussed about because he also wanted the jacket pre-creased and folded, and
Well,
just
there's things you fuss about 10 things because you want one thing.
Ideally, you want all 10, but you'll be happy if you get a couple.
I think
did he
got
get
all
that?
those.
Is he getting all of it?
Unfortunately, he got that.
Oh,
So
there's probably
Well,
some things that I fussed about and then forgot about the next day because they weren't a big deal.
right. I have been playing that game. There are a few things that they weren't on this project though. They were on other things where I
You've
said
been playing games with me, Brian.
a little bit. You just
told me you'd be
you just
straight
keep,
up the middle.
You just keep the artist happy, just so he keeps working.
Not an easy thing to do, but
So
No,
this hopefully we'll get this the show really well underway. Forrest is working on test animation right now,
I am.
and this will be the second animated show we do together, which will be really fun.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully just as many millions of people will watch this one.
Bazillions.
Absolutely.
As the last one.
If you're interested in helping us out, all you got to do is subscribe to Canon Plus, like the Papua New Guineans, and we're full
The
circle now.
Zambians,
The
like
Zambians.
the New Guineans.
And lots of people.
Don't get left out. Comply. Be like the other sheep
There we go.
Right.
and subscribe to Canon Plus.
MyCanonPlus.com.
Perfect. Now
Wait, I already
we've
said
pitched
blah blah
everything.
blahblahkids.com is the one I want you to actually go
And,
to.
and the thing that's funny is now we've pitched everything. We've pitched Canon Plus, we pitched blah blah, and we pitched Forest Fine Art. I'm like, what else can I sell?
Yeah.
What else can I sell? I've got a broken down lawnmower.
hey,
I've got a
I got it.
lawnmower I'd love to get rid of.
You have not yet mentioned the third of the board books because it was Hello Ninja, Blah Blah Black Sheep, and If Zebras Ruled the World, there'd be a lot more Z's.
Yes.
How does that fit into the
That's
global
pretty-
narrative
That's
right
pretty
now?
fantastic. If Zebras Ruled the World. I don't remember anything beyond that line.
It's zebras versus Klaus Schwab right now.
I think it was back when those the high contrast black and white books were really in, and you wanted to do one that was all black and white because zebras had taken over and had painted
Zebras.
everything down. But I don't think it ever got past the first line.
That's such a good line.
We all are very excited to see the second line.
And I'm willing to bet a lot of money. It's never going to be seen. I'll treasure it up. Keep
So
it secret.
you all heard it here. That's
I know
all
If
you
Zebras Ruled the World is a pretty great. I mean, that was kind of like a more Sandra.
get. Boynton style.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to just gift it to the audience at this point and let someone else take it?
Just maybe we just throw it out there.
Source it. Yeah.
Yeah, throw it out there. That could be fun.
There.
I
think
yeah,
we
there we
sold
go.
literally everything we could.
We
now,
pitched,
so,
we pitched and pitched until we can pitch no more.
yeah.
I'll sell my lawnmower next time. This has been SASF something,
An enjoyable time with
Forrest-
illustrator
with Forrest
Dickison
and of course the two of us.
and us.
And I think we were on point.
Yeah. Here we are.
You guys were great. Thanks for having me on.
It's good. Hope you enjoyed the episode of SASF. We enjoy having you all share your feedbacks and thoughts with us. Here I have for you the proofs of a new book. You might wonder why I don't have the book itself. Well, it hasn't arrived yet. I wanted to show you some of my favorite parts of Blah Blah Black Sheep. If you're in audio, of course, you're going to have to either go to blaaahkids.com to check it out yourself or watch the video on Canon Plus. But here you can see the friendly grasshopper. Not a super important character, but he's on the title page anyway. And then the other page, here's the picture of Blah Blah Black Sheep singing the wrong song, Blah. It's great stuff. And then the last two I wanted to show you, this great scene inspired by Tintin and Hergé. Blah Blah's wondering if he should become a pirate, sail the seas. Last picture I wanted to show you, because you can't see all of them, you'll have to wait for the book. You don't get to see him running with the wolves or him with the yetis. He saves the baby yeti. But you do get to see Blah Blah wondering if he should join a circus to become a fire breather or perhaps join a rodeo to bust broncs. Anyways, this book is great. please go to blaaahkids.com and check out the pre-order specials. Some special bonuses there, along with getting your book signed by Nate and Forrest, and also being a part of making the show happen, Lord willing, and many other cool things. So head to blaaahkids.com, get a copy for under your tree.